She was standing on the porch, holding our baby's blanket, when 3 loud bikes roared up the gravel road. Their engines shook the windows. The riders wore black vests with patches stitched across the back, tattoos creeping down their arms, and smirks like they already owned the place. One of them tossed a crumpled paper at my wife's feet and barked, "HOA rules, pack your bags, you've got till tonight." She froze, clutching the blanket tighter. I stepped out of the cabin, calm, but my blood boiled. "That's my land you're standing on," I said, slow and steady. The leader laughed, spitting on the ground. "Not anymore. Karen said this place ain't yours. We're just here to convince you." He cracked his knuckles like it was supposed to scare me. My wife's eyes darted to me, worried, but I didn't move. I just smiled. "Convince me?" I asked, stepping down from the porch. The 3 bikers shifted, maybe expected me to back off. Instead, I rolled my sleeves, and the leader finally noticed the ink on my forearm. His grin faded. "Wait, you're—" he stammered, but it was too late. 3 minutes later, the same men who had stormed my land full of swagger were on their knees in the dirt, begging me to stop. One of them was clutching his arm. The other had dropped his chain in the gravel, and the leader's voice cracked as he tried to explain. "We didn't know, man. She just paid us, said you were trespassing." My wife stepped closer, her fear replaced with anger. "She sent you to threaten me with my baby inside?" Her voice cut sharper than I ever could. The leader shook his head fast, sweat dripping down his temple. "We thought you were just some squatter. Karen showed us papers, looked official. She said the sheriff was on her side." I bent down, looked him straight in the eye, and spoke low so they felt every word. "You made one mistake. You walked onto the wrong man's property." The youngest biker's eyes flicked to my arm again, to the faded unit patch tattooed there. "Military," he whispered. The others went silent. Then, from the road, headlights cut through the trees. A shiny black SUV pulled up, and there she was, Karen herself, stepping out in heels, clipboard in hand, lips curled into that smug smile. She didn't even glance at the men kneeling in the dirt. She looked straight at me and said, "Well, you can't fight the HOA forever. Consider this your eviction notice." But what she didn't know was that I had been waiting for this moment. I picked up the crumpled paper she'd thrown at my wife earlier and held it up. "This? You call this an eviction notice?" The paper shook in my hand, not because I was nervous, but because I was angry. It was nothing more than a fake document with HOA letterhead copied off the internet. No signature, no stamp, nothing legal about it. I let out a laugh, slow and sharp. "You really thought this would work?" Karen's smile twitched, but she didn't back down. "I've got the board, the neighbors, and the county inspector behind me. You can't stay here. You think anyone's going to listen to you over me?" She gestured at the bikers like they were her hired proof. But the sight must have hit her wrong. 3 men on their knees, shaking their heads, muttering, "We're done, lady. We're out." My wife folded her arms, stepping beside me now, her voice steady. "Tell me, Karen, did you bother checking whose name is actually on this land?" I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a folded envelope I'd been carrying for weeks, waiting for this exact showdown. The original deed, signed and recorded with my name stamped in bold black ink. Karen's face drained of color as I held it up to the headlights. "Funny thing," I said, holding the paper high so everyone could see. "This property doesn't belong to the HOA. It belongs to me, and it always has." Karen's laugh came out shaky, but she tried to recover, waving her clipboard like a sword. "Paper means nothing if the sheriff's on my side. I already called him. He's on his way right now, and when he gets here, you're finished." She snapped her fingers at the bikers, but they stayed frozen, heads low, refusing to even look at her. That smug confidence in her voice didn't match the panic creeping across her face. My wife whispered, "She really called them?" I just nodded. "Good," I said. Moments later, the crunch of tires on gravel filled the night. Red and blue lights flashed through the trees. 2 sheriff cruisers pulled up, engines rumbling, doors slamming shut. Karen straightened her blazer, fixing her hair like she was about to win an award. "Finally," she huffed. "Arrest this trespasser before he hurts someone else." The sheriff stepped out first, tall and steady, with deputies behind him. Karen marched right up, waving her clipboard in his face. "This man is violent. He attacked my men, he refuses to leave HOA property, and he's a danger to this neighborhood. I want him in handcuffs now." The sheriff didn't even glance at me. He looked at the bikers, bloodied, shaking, pointing at Karen. Then he turned his gaze back to her and said, calm but cold, "Funny. Because the call I just got was about you, trespassing, impersonating authority, and hiring muscle to intimidate a family." Karen blinked, her mouth opening but no sound coming out. That was the moment I stepped forward and laid the deed right in the sheriff's hand. "Everything she told you," I said, "is a lie. This land is mine." The sheriff's eyes scanned the paper, then he lifted his gaze to me, and when he finally spoke, the whole place went silent. "He's right, and Karen, you're the one who's leaving tonight."
Karen's face twisted, first in disbelief, then in rage. "You can't do this. I run this community. These people—" She spun around, pointing wildly at the road, but froze when she saw headlights. More cars had pulled up, neighbors leaning out their windows, some filming on their phones. Word had spread. Everyone was watching. The sheriff didn't flinch. "You've been running scams for too long, Karen. Fake notices, fake fines, threats. It ends tonight." One of the bikers, still nursing his arm, finally found his voice. "She paid us cash, told us to scare his wife so they'd pack up, said we'd get a bonus if we made it rough." The crowd gasped. Karen spun on him like a viper. "Shut your mouth," she screeched. But it was too late. The damage was done. My wife stepped forward, her voice strong and steady. "You tried to throw my baby out into the street for money. You called these men to my door, and you thought no one would stand up to you." Karen grabbed her phone, dialing frantically, barking into it. "Get me the county inspector right now! Tell him to shut this whole property down!" But before she could finish, the sheriff reached out and plucked the phone right from her hand. "That's enough," he said, snapping it shut. "You're under arrest for harassment, conspiracy, and falsifying documents." The crowd erupted, some cheering, some in shock. Phones were raised higher, recording every second. The HOA's self-appointed queen was being led to the back of a cruiser screaming, "You'll regret this, all of you!" But no one moved to help her, not one. I turned to my wife, who finally let out the breath she'd been holding, and I said the line I knew people would remember. "I fought for this country so my family could live free. No one, especially not an HOA, takes that from me."